Hey guys, my name is Iasmina and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do the writing rituals tag. This tag was originally created by one of my favorite AuthorTube channels here on YouTube, Kim Chance and also Mandy Lin. I will leave their channels in the description. If you haven't already subscribed to them, you really should. So I just thought this would be a fun little tag to film, so without further ado, let's get straight into the questions. So question number one is, when do you write? Time of the day or the week? Well, I try to write every single day. As you can tell by my embarrassed expression, it doesn't always work. Either I really don't have the time or I just cannot. Sometimes you just cannot, and that's fine. But I do definitely try to write every day. And as for time of the day, I work full-time from 8 until 4, so during the week I can only write in the evenings. But in the weekends I try to do half of my writing session in the morning and then half in the evening, if I can. Question number 2 is, how do you seclude yourself from the outside world? This is such a cool question. I'm definitely one of those people who cannot really focus with noise around them. Depends on the type of noise though. I can definitely write in a coffee shop with that sort of background chatter. That doesn't bother me. If I'm at home and someone is watching TV really loudly or YouTube videos really loudly, I can't focus, so I need to either drown all of that out with something else or just be in a really quiet space. I also used to not be able to write to music at all, especially if it was music that had lyrics. I could write with sort of instrumental music. That changed recently. Not entirely sure why. Maybe I just got used to it. So if I can't find a quiet place, then I go into another room and I then put in my earphones and try to drown any noise from outside with my own noise. And it's usually one of 3 things. So it's either music, recently, ASMR on YouTube, sort of no talking, noise kind of ASMR, or this app called Noisely. It's a website and also a Chrome extension. I'll leave it in the description. You can make your own sort of background noise music and you can mix different noises together. I have one that I saved called Writing. But it's a really cool app. It's completely free, so I'll leave it down in the description. It's really useful. But that just helps sort of, you know, create my space, get into the writing mood. You know, it's like headphones in, something playing in them, and I'm like, okay, now I can write. But also, complete silence will always work better. Next question is, how do you review what you wrote the previous day? Well, if we're just talking about writing, so drafting, I don't read back that much. If I left off the previous day in the middle of a scene, then I will sort of read a little bit before when I started the scene, just so I can get back into the headspace of that scene. But in general, I don't tend to go back and read, you know, the previous chapter or whatever, unless I'm trying to write something off of that and I need to refresh my memory. But when I'm drafting, I just kind of like to, you know, go forward instead of backwards, because if I read too much of what I already wrote, you know, my inner editor starts shouting at me. It's like, fix that, fix that, fix that. And I don't want to, and I want to drown that editor out for this stage in the process. And so I only read like, you know, a couple of paragraphs just to kind of remember where I left off, and then go forward. What song is your go-to when you're feeling uninspired? I don't really have one song that I always go to when I feel uninspired. It also depends on what I'm writing. So for example, this is very relevant to my current work in progress because it is a YA contemporary about music and about the passion of playing music. And so when I need that extra bit of inspiration, you know, I created a playlist specifically for this book with songs that are either mentioned in the book or have the theme that I'm looking for. And so I'll put that on and listen to that. And that would get me into the zone of this specific manuscript. But that's the thing, this is very specific to this particular work in progress right now. But in general, I don't have that one song that I go to. Next question is, what do you always do? Listen to music, read, watch YouTube when you find yourself struggling with writer's block. Writer's block is an interesting concept. I don't necessarily agree that it's a thing. I think you can always find ways to push through it or push through that sort of mental block and just write something. But having said that, I do find myself just burnt out sometimes or just stuck. And so what I do to get back into that zone is I read similar books to what I'm writing. So if I'm writing a contemporary novel, I will read a lot of contemporary, just to get inspired, just to read something really awesome and think, I really want to write something, as good as this. And so being in the same genre, it also helps me get back into that specific mood of writing a specific genre. And so that makes it a lot easier for me to then go back to my manuscript and get unstuck. Things that have really helped me is A, read similar books to what I'm writing, and B, go out of the house. Get out of the house, take a walk, go for a run, go on a trip, do something else, change up your routine a little bit, because getting out of that space and trying to do something else, most of the time you will still think about your manuscript, and you will get ideas that you wouldn't have thought you would by going on a run or something. So just go out into the world, get some fresh air, watch people talk. That also helps a lot. Or actually talk to them, not just watch them creepily from the corner, but like converse with people, socialize. All of that good stuff. You might not think that it would help, but it does actually help get you back into that headspace and get you inspired to write your book. What tools do you use when writing? I have quite a few. So for drafting, I use Scrivener. I think it's a really good writing software, and I would highly recommend it, especially for organizing ideas and organizing your scenes and chapters. But I did find that once I started drafting, and especially in the later stages of drafting, I tend to go straight to Word because I like seeing my words in that very specific manuscript style. In general, it helps seeing your words in a different format than what you're used to while drafting. At that stage, I just tend to edit straight into Word. But when I draft, definitely Scrivener. Then I use Spotify to listen to music while I write, like I said, noisily, for background music, and YouTube for ASMR and watching AuthorTube videos to get inspired. Do physical things count as well? Because I definitely use a lot of notebooks to plan. I do all of the planning and all of the idea dropping in actual physical notebooks. I have a planner that I've mentioned before that I use to schedule in writing sessions and all sorts of things. I also have that big pin board that I've shown before where I pinned all of the 15 beats for the beat sheet method of the current manuscript that I'm writing, so it helps to just see it above my desk all the time when I'm writing so that I don't lose the sense of where I'm going with the story. Obviously a laptop, but I think that's everything I use. What's the one thing you can't live without during a writing session? I guess my laptop is really the one thing that I can't live without when I'm writing. How do you fuel yourself during your writing sessions? Well, it depends on the time of the day that I'm writing. If it's in the morning, as I have right now, a nice cup of coffee or 2 or 3, or tea, or hot chocolate, or anything warm. And then if it's an evening session, I'm not opposed to a nice glass of red wine or a little bit of brandy. Beverages. I fuel myself with beverages. Not necessarily hydrating ones necessarily, but beverages. And the final question is, how do you know when you're done writing? This is a very interesting question. I'm gonna assume it means sort of in your writing session, when do you know you're done? And I usually set myself some word count goals for the day or for the writing session, so I will stop usually when I reach that goal, or I can go further than that, obviously. It's great if I go further than that, but if I've hit my writing goal for the day, then I know I can stop. Or otherwise, when I just cannot, when it's absolutely painful to come up with another word to put down on the page, and it's taking me half an hour to put down that one word, and I've been staring at the document for half an hour, that's when I know I should stop for the day, because there's no point in wasting time and forcing myself when I can just come back to it tomorrow, hopefully in a more inspired mood, and I can write a lot more tomorrow than I can right now. Yeah, when I literally can't even. But those were all the questions for the writing rituals tag. I think it was quite a quick and fun little tag to do. So I'm not going to tag anyone specific, but please go ahead and film this tag yourself if you feel like it's an interesting one. But that's it from me today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye!